Games, board games. I might be talking about board games, but I'm not gonna shout. I am today talking about games, which are things that let should maybe change the way you're feeling day to day. If you're feeling down, maybe they make you feel great. Board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. 10 a.m. ish UK time. Time for Busy Beats and Board Game Leather. And today I'm talking about that games should fit around your life. And this is something that I thought about with the idea of stalemates. I mean, the idea that, and stalemates when people aren't sure, oh, is this a stalemate or not? Something when there's two superpowers kind of passing stuff back and forth, or if there's a game that just goes on and on. I mean, when I asked, how do you feel about games? What I really meant to say was, how do you feel about games that end in a stalemate, that never actually finish? It doesn't. You could play it another 10 hours, you could play it another 100 hours, but there's a mathematical possibility that it just wouldn't finish because yeah. And some people took that to just be me talking about long games, and they started saying, yeah, like game, absolutely. When I played the game and it's too long and it has to be abandoned, I'm a bit sad about that, and that's not great. I mean, I'm going to actually pull up the poll just now, but I believe there's according to the poll, it is 58% strong dislike, 28% slight dislike, and 9% no emotions, 4% actively like it. So, look, it's one of these traits that, all else being equal, obviously it's not a great thing. So the question is, if it's in your game, why is it in the game? But then, last night I was looking through the rules to one game that I don't want to say because I don't like unnecessary. Yeah, it was a game, and then I was looking at Board Game Arena thinking, okay, now I've played it once, I've clicked around with no idea what I'm doing. Now I want to learn, watch the video, learn it hopefully, and get an idea of what I'm doing. And I watched the video and I still think, yeah, I still have no idea. Okay, it's some sort of drafting, but it feels weird. I don't know exactly what I'm going for. All these combinations are really hard to keep in my mind. Like Sushi Go, okay? We can talk about the balance and say that, yeah, sure, if someone gets a hand, like let's say in a two-player game of Sushi Go, theoretically, if I got 1, 3, and the rest were ones, and you got a whole bunches all of the same number in your hand, then obviously I'm going to win because I'm going to grab that 3, then we're going to split all the ones between us, and your hand, we're just going to get the same. And is that a problem? Well, on the upside, it means that when I've got to 3 and when I've got to 1, which I mean, like the salmon nigiri is 2, the egg nigiri is 1, the squid nigiri is 3. And like, if it's in that situation, at least I have an idea of what to do. At least I've got an idea of, okay, sometimes some cards are better than others. And having some variance in there where, yeah, sometimes actually it is worth taking the dumpling over the squid nigiri. It might be very uncommon, but it's possible. But it gives you an idea of what to do. And I guess that's what I want. I want an idea of what to do in the game. I don't want to be sitting down watching a bunch of instructions, and then after 2 minutes, I'm just completely lost, and there's another however many minutes left of the video. I want to have some idea of like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going for, and like that, it's games should fit into your life, and I say that with regards to games should make themselves hopefully easy to understand. Games should fit in terms of the time that we have in our life. Games should ideally be as flexible in their possible player counts as they can be. Um, and of course, at the end of it all, you need a game that's worth playing. If your game is kind of good at 4 players and technically playable at 3, but like really good at 5, great. Don't put like let's don't put 3 to 15 on your box if your game really needs 5 players to get it syncing, because I want your box to guide me towards a good experience. If your game is really there at a certain player count, that shouldn't be on the game. It should sure, if some people are going to hate it, but some people are loving it, that's fine. But if it's unanimous that yeah, this player count is meh, then why are you having it on your thing? Because ultimately, games need to respect the time of the people who play it and the visibility, the vision of the people who play it, the cognitive load of the people who play it, just the processing power, because we are processing all of these things and we've got other things going on in our minds. And yeah. Anyway, recent highlights, living life and seeing sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. So, recent highlights, yesterday, I managed to get out. I sent a quick pitch for writing. I mean, it came back and was probably not. But I did some laundry. It's a questionnaire for UK Games Expo, and I made a very tasty meal. I got some reduced stuff, like some veg and some meat from the shop, and then I came back here, and I think it's kind of my go-to sauce now. Like a good dollop of garlic, a couple of spoons of pure chili, a spoon of mustard, and in a healthy dose of peanut butter, coats it all, and maybe at some point during the cooking, a splash of water in there creates a delicious sauce. That's my recent highlights. Brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? Yeah, water. I mean, not just for making things saucier, but just for drinking generally. I mean, water is brilliant. Do you drink enough water? Maybe drink some water now. But as always, I encourage people to not just do the standard from like follow, but actually, if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, I do respond to all the respectful things that I see. And if you've got any ideas for the next few streams, then let me know. But for now, question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. Question of the day to you is, let's say you're sitting down on a Monday night to play a game. Who are you going to be most likely playing it with? What's the most likely scenario? I'm just curious about the use case scenario of you on a Monday night. I mean, is it like, oh, Monday nights, I just could not play games? Or is there, yeah, I could play games with that? I mean, for me, I'm thinking basically if someone came over and then I'd pick games based on that person, or alternatively, if I were going to a board game club. So I don't really have anyone in my life that's like, oh yeah, that person, that's who if anything, it's more likely that it would be people who are super into board games because they'd either be traveling here or at a public board game club. But yeah, who do you normally play, and what? So yeah, is there someone in your household that you might play games with? I guess is what I'm asking. Over to you. What are you up to? You can share Botany if you want to. What are you up to today? I'm going to make sure I head out because it is a beautiful day, and I'm just going to make sure that I get out for some part of it to enjoy it, have a wander around. Is there anything you want to share? Something that you want to do, you need to do? Please share. I promise I care. While I do that, yeah, we'll just recap and wrap up before we finish up. So to recap and wrap up, I'm just saying, remember the people playing your game, because people aren't able to set everything on standby and pause time in order to devote hours to your game. For me, I think that make sure that you remember that there's people that are playing these games and they've got other stuff going on in their lives, and the games, whilst they are amazing things, they might not be the most important things in those people's lives. So make sure that you acknowledge that by, if you can reduce the complexity as a designer, reduce it. If you can reduce the play length, reduce it. And most importantly, if you say this player count is not brilliant, then don't put that on the box. If your game says 2 to 5 and then the players end up saying, oh yeah, sorry you played it at 2, you really need to play it at 3, well, that's not my fault. The game shouldn't have suggested a 2-player game. So yeah, think about people. And hello, Heather. I sent you a wee message on Facebook. I hope that you've seen that. Who says, we have friends that bring games to the cafe. So it sounds like in your case, the choice of the game will be decided by them, and they are already really into games. So again, there will be a certain level of game literacy. And that's another thing. Like, it's easy as people who've played hundreds or thousands of games to assume everyone knows what worker placement is and everyone knows this and that and the other. But in reality, most people don't. And if you want your game to be more accessible, don't make assumptions in knowledge, I guess. But yeah, anyway, Heather, lovely to see you. Thank you for the comment, and I hope that you enjoy every game that you play. Lots of love to everyone, and I am Stuff by Bez in all of the places, and I will be streaming at 10 a.m. ish, aiming for just after 10, but sometimes there might be, yeah. So for now, as I like, if you've felt that this was useful, share, spread the word. If you've got ideas for future questions, if you've got questions that you'd like me to answer, then please do ask. For now, the only thing left to say is bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, everyone, and I hope you have a super wonderful day. Lots of love. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.